The best solution, the quickest, the most benevolent, that can change everything from black to white immediately is the vegetarian diet. Because compassion begets compassion.
Please continue watching to find out more.
Supreme Master Ching Hai's lectures are not a complete meditation instruction. Please do not try alone. For free of charge guidance, please visit godsdirectcontact.org or contact any of our centers near you.
Today's episode will be presented in English with subtitles in Arabic, Aulacese, also known as Vietnamese, Bulgarian, Chinese, Russian, Czech, English, French, German, Hindi, Hungarian, Indonesian, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Malay, Mongolian, Persian, Polish, Portuguese, Punjabi, Russian, Sinhalese, Spanish, and Thai. Senang berjumpa dengan Anda, pemirsa yang baik hati. Nama saya Meti dari Jambi, di Indonesia yang menawan. Sebagai kepulauan terbesar di dunia, Indonesia terdiri dari 17.508 pulau yang terbentang antara benua Asia dan Australia. Sebagai kepulauan asal rempah-rempah, Indonesia adalah negara berpenduduk terbanyak keempat di dunia. Mengelilingi ribuan pulau kecil dengan garis pantai lebih dari 80.000 km, Laut tropis Indonesia yang hangat juga memiliki tingkat keanekaragaman hayati yang tinggi, disertai berbagai ekosistem yang meliputi pantai, gumuk pasir, muara, hutan bakau, terumbu karang, hamparan rumput laut, hamparan lumpur pantai, dataran pasang surut, hamparan ganggang, dan ekosistem pulau kecil. Dengan jumlah pulaunya yang besar, tidaklah mengejutkan bila di Indonesia terdapat kira-kira 300 kelompok etnis, masing-masing dengan tradisi yang unik dan indah yang berkontribusi pada kebudayaan modern Indonesia yang dinamis. Maha Guru Ching Hai memiliki kasih yang besar kepada rakyat Indonesia dan telah berceramah di negeri yang mulia ini. Tahun 2014, beliau mengirim surat kepada Yang Mulia Joko Widodo untuk memberi ucapan selamat karena terpilih sebagai Presiden Indonesia. Beliau mengakhiri surat hangatnya kepada Yang Mulia dengan menyatakan, "Dengan semua harapan terbaik saya, semoga surga memberkati Anda dan rakyat Indonesia yang baik hati. Kami senang bisa berbagi sekilas Indonesia kami yang berharga dengan Anda. Kami berdoa agar surga mengisi hari-hari Anda dengan harmoni dan kemuliaan ilahi." Selama lebih dari 3 dekade, Maha Guru Ching Hai telah menerangi dunia kita dengan ajaran ilahi beliau. Seorang guru yang tercerahkan sepenuhnya, beliau mengajarkan metode Kuan Yin kepada mereka yang ingin dengan segera menemukan hakikat Tuhan di dalam batin agar dalam satu masa kehidupan bisa mencapai kebebasan abadi dari siklus kelahiran kembali. Metode Kuan telah dilatih oleh semua guru tercerahkan seperti Buddha, Yesus Kristus, Nabi Muhammad, damai besertanya, dan Guru Nanak, dan banyak lagi. Beliau menekankan bahwa jika kita selalu mengingat Tuhan, memberi pelayanan tanpa pamrih kepada pihak lain, dan mengikuti hukum alam semesta, kita akan mencapai potensi tertinggi kita sebagai manusia dan benar-benar memahami tujuan kita berada di bumi. Mahaguru Ching adalah sebuah teladan hidup yang luar biasa tentang welas asih secara teratur, memberikan bantuan materi dan finansial, dan juga cinta kasih kepada para pengungsi, tunawisma, korban bencana alam, dan bantuan lainnya yang diperlukan. Di tahun 2006, beliau menerima penghargaan Gusi Perdamaian yang dianggap sebagai penghargaan Nobel Perdamaian dari Timur dan telah dianugerahi selama bertahun-tahun dengan banyak penghargaan lain dan pujian atas tindak kedermawanan dan kemanusiaan beliau yang luar biasa. Menjadi suara yang bisa diandalkan bagi sahabat satwa kita yang elok, beliau mempropagandakan pola makan nabati yang penuh kasih dan damai, serta memimpikan terbangkitnya kesadaran manusia akan kesakralan semua kehidupan dunia vegan sepenuhnya yang tentram dan mulia, di mana hewan dan manusia hidup dalam keharmonisan yang membahagiakan. Prakarsa beliau untuk menyebarkan tren vegan melalui berbagai cara dan mencakup pembagian selebaran cara hidup alternatif, jaringan restoran vegan internasional Loving Heart, Supreme Master Television, dan juga secara teratur berbicara kepada pemerintah yang berpengaruh dan pemimpin-pemimpin media, serta berpartisipasi dalam konferensi televisi mengenai perubahan iklim yang kita sadari ataupun tidak. Upaya-upaya beliau telah memiliki pengaruh besar terhadap kesadaran global tentang gaya hidup yang ramah terhadap hewan dan bagaimana cara penuh kebajikan ini bisa menghadirkan perdamaian yang langgeng di antara bangsa-bangsa sambil menyelamatkan planet kita dari perubahan iklim. Selama bertahun-tahun, Mahaguru Ching telah ke berbagai penjuru dunia, dari Amerika ke Afrika, dari Eropa ke Oseania, dan mengadakan ratusan ceramah kepada masyarakat umum dan murid-murid beliau mengenai berbagai topik spiritual. Hari ini kita terberkahi untuk bisa menghadirkan salah satu ceramah yang berwawasan berjudul "Solusi Sebenarnya untuk Masyarakat Bebas Karbon", kutipan dari ceramah Mahaguru Ching bagian ke-1 dari 2 seri di acara Antara Guru dan Murid.
You know how much goes into cows? How much acres to raise cows? And that land can never be productive again. Once a cow will trample on it and eat the grass from it. How much land, how much water, how much medicine, how much pounds of grains and kind of protein grains from different poor country pour into the cattle before it deliver a piece of meat for one meal. It is a waste of human resource to eat meat. They say if everybody eats vegetarian diet, Nobody is hungry, at least. We have more, too much more. We can export to Mars or Venus when we happen to find people there. Truly, you ask the research. We will print some articles soon about vegetarian benefits in many ways, not only you alone, benefit the whole planet. They make a list of conclusion, of the research, why vegetarian benefit, and they calculated everything. If everyone, not everyone even, if even 1/4 of the world eat vegetarian, nobody goes hungry. Can feed the whole population. Understand what I mean? Without even having to work much. And now we work a lot to raise cattle, to kill thousands, millions animals every day. Sometimes you pass by a countryside and they raise cattle. And when you pass by, you see the whole field black with cattle, And when you come back, empty, gone. The whole field, many acres of land, so vast, full of cattle. And when you come back, all gone, finished. You understand what I mean? It's a waste of product to eat meat. Never mind talking about compassion or love or enlightenment or moral standard, nothing, not yet. We own it to mankind to eat vegetarian, not only to animals. Well, it's terrible waste of time, of the earth, energy and resources to feed the animals. They use more water than we human ever do. To wash them, to feed them, to let them drink, and they use more vegetarian protein than human ever can eat. And you have to raise a cattle many years before you can eat it in one meal. Understand? It's too much. We will print some article from the specialists, experts, in our next magazine. I have already selected some and have told the editor to print it next time. So you wait and research for yourself. Okay, you can get in touch with them and ask them how they come into this and ask them for the proof. But you don't need it. When you see the figure, you know what it is. You know the proof right away. The only way to avoid the point of no return, climate catastrophe, is to take action on the most climatically disastrous course of all, that is, meat production. By now, we have all the evidence, all the information to safely say so. The livestock industry is the top greenhouse gas generator. The last published findings from the United Nations in 2006 told us that the livestock industry causes greenhouse gas emissions more than all the world's transportation sectors combined. Airplane, train, cars, motorcycles, etc. altogether. Updated calculations tell us that the livestock industry is responsible for at least 50% of the global warming. There are 3 reasons why the livestock industry is the first cause of global warming that we should focus on. First, livestock is the primary human-caused emitter of methane. And methane not only has 72 times the heat-trapping ability, it is a shorter-lived gas. This means that it will leave the atmosphere much faster than CO2, within just a decade, as opposed to thousands of years you need for CO2. Therefore, eliminating methane by eliminating livestock breeding is the fastest way to cool the planet. We have to tackle the most important of emitter. Next, the pollutant known as aerosols, you already know, or particles released along with CO2 from burning fossil fuels actually have a cooling effect. Some scientists say it is roughly canceling out the warming effect of CO2. Therefore, much of the warming we are seeing may actually be due to methane. In fact, it is due to methane, and its number one source, that is animal raising. Third, NASA scientists are paying increasing attention to another very serious source of global warming, that is black carbon. I'm sure you know that. This is the particulate matter known as soot, SOOT, and it is 680 times more heat trapping than CO2. So black carbon is landing on the ice in Antarctica, absorbing the sun's heat and accelerating the ice melt. The majority of the black carbon particles in Antarctica are coming from where? South American rainforests that are burned for the livestock industry. Now we're going somewhere. We must urgently address methane and black carbon, both outcomes of the meat industry. Immediately we have to tackle it. I pray all wise leaders will halt the little meat practice, which is the main force driving us to the point of no return right now. Otherwise, all other efforts to decarbonize our economies may be cancelled out or never have a chance to materialize in the first place. What is in the atmosphere if we do not continue the way we are living our life right now, and we will not continue to overload the atmosphere, then it will decrease with time. Maybe a long time, but it will decrease. And what important is not to create any more, or not so overwhelmingly that nature cannot handle. Nature can help to absorb some of the carbon dioxide, but we overload nature. So we have problem right now, and we continue to have problem if we are not doing anything to prevent further destruction of the planet. See, there are already some advanced science to capture CO2 and mix it with seawater to create cement. That will reduce CO2 used by other cement producing method as well, and also reduce new CO2 from polluting the air. It's in the making still, and I hope it will be beneficial and on time so that we have enough time to prevent the global warming. But still, any new technology takes so long to develop and to be in the market. So the best solution, the quickest, the most benevolent, that can change everything from black to white immediately is the vegetarian diet. Because compassion begets compassion. If we stop eating animals and be kind to all beings as well as our environment, then we still can keep the existing aviation industry the way it is. Until some better invention, we still have time for that. If we change to vegetarian diet, we can keep everything, not just airplane, but everything else, transportation, car, ship, until we have better one. Even if we don't have better one, this is just a very minimum CO2, and nature can absorb and dilute it for us. It's just the meat industry that causes the most pollution for the planet, that the planet is overloaded. Nature is overloaded. The ocean is overloaded. So everything warm up because of meat and animal products. So airplane is a very small thing. So if we stop the meat production, if we stop eating meat and harming the animals, the good, benevolent atmosphere will change everything into a beneficial planet for us. Even before our planet was good. But if we change into vegetarian diet, this planet will become a paradise, will be plentiful, will be peaceful, will be very happy for everybody to live on. So we stop the meat first, not the flight. But anyway, of course, it would be good if we have time to invent something new to stop the CO2 from the plane or from other transportation. But that is not urgent. That is not urgent at all because the pollution from transportation, including airplane, is minimal compared to the pollution that produced by meat. But for your information, in New Zealand, Air New Zealand is retrofitting its planes with the wingtip device so that they can reduce the drag and therefore saving a lot of fuels and reducing carbon dioxide as well. So other industry, other flight, other air can profit from this information from Air New Zealand. But it will take some time, all this, huh? And meanwhile, I don't know if we have enough time to wait for the new invention. So the best, the fastest is vegetarian diet.
Well, Supreme Master, about the issue of global warming, because I believe this is certainly an area that's quite close to your heart, I think what we're asking is what that means for the fate of ourselves and indeed our planet. Is one that more and more people are becoming aware of. And many of us are about, the burning of fossil fuels and how that increases greenhouse gases. Now, although we do our best to recycle and change our light bulbs and drive hybrid cars and eat organically local grown food and so on, but according to the UN report Livestock's Long Shadow from November 2006, then it's actually not the number one cause of greenhouse gases, but in fact the report that found that 18% of all greenhouse gas emissions are caused by the livestock industry, which is more than all forms of transportation put together. For example, scientists have shown that say the average car produces 3 kilograms a day of CO2 gases, while clearing rainforest to produce a beef or maybe one hamburger produces 75 kilograms of CO2 gases. That's a huge difference of 2,500%. So for anyone wanting to reduce their carbon footprint, this clearly shows that eating meat has a much bigger impact on the environment than, say, driving your car. Would you be in agreement with what the scientists are saying?
Yes, ma'am. 18%. Pollution is just part of the estimate. Actually, there are other hidden side causes of global warming because it's not included, like people get sick and the price we have to pay for the hospital and the taking care and to develop medicine and research and etc., etc. And cost of the sorrow of people who lost a loved one due to meat-related illness, yeah? And all the change that we advocate up to now by society is helping, but it's very little, as you can calculate it yourself. Only vegetarian diet can truly help. And as every action provokes another action, and likes attract like. So if we save lives, ours will be spared. Everything else is just, secondary. The carbon reduction is immense by just being vegetarian. We don't even need to cut down on cars and transportation yet. Just being vegetarian, having animal-free diet, we will cut a huge amount of carbon dioxide to stop the global warming. For example, in just 1 year, if a person is having a meat-based diet, he would produce the carbon equivalent of driving a car almost 5,000 kilometers. A vegetarian diet would cut the carbon in half, 50% less, to the equivalent of 2,427 kilometers. And if that person adopts a vegan diet, meaning absolutely no animal products, either used or eaten, then the equivalent is further reduced to just 629 kilometers, which is 87% less than that of a meat-based diet. And best still, for an organic vegan diet, the most sustainable choice for our planet, that would be the equivalent of 281 kilometers. That is a 94% reduction in carbon emission if the person take the organic vegan diet. This is the statistic from Institute for Ecological Economy Research in Germany. And this is just carbon alone. We did not mention even the reduction of methane, which has 72 times the warming potential of carbon dioxide over an average of 20 years time span. So you can see clearly how a vegetarian diet can reduce at least 80% of global warming. Thank you, and I hope everybody take a vegetarian diet and best organic vegan diet.
Most people would like to reduce their carbon footprint. What difference would it make if they changed to a vegetarian or vegan diet?
A very big difference, Ben. Big difference. You see, one 6-ounce beefsteak costs 16 times as much gasoline or fossil fuel energy as one vegan meal. You know, 1 cup of broccoli, 1 cup of eggplants, 4 ounces of cauliflower, and 8 ounces of rice, to be exact, according to research. 16 times. 6-ounce beefsteak only costs 16 times more than that whole vegan meal. Now, many scientists would thus describe meat as being hugely carbon intensive, including Dr. Pachauri, the chief of IPCC. Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. If all the people in the world became vegan, we would eliminate at least 50% of greenhouse gas emission. 50%, Ben, greenhouse gas emission. But I know it's more than that. Karmically speaking as well, it would be significantly more than removing all the world's transportation, which is only 13.5%.
Really?
Yeah. So if we are vegan, we don't even need to worry about the CO2 yet. We do worry it's better to have a cleaner air, but CO2 by transportation and all that is not the grave urgency like methane gas and nitrous oxide and all the gases that produce out of animal industry. For my calculation, for my inside knowledge, and also scientifically speaking, 80% of global warming will be stopped if we stopped the animal industry. Okay. The well-known study by Escher and Martin at the University of Chicago found that being vegan saves more in emission than switching to a hybrid car. Scientists from Japan calculated that not eating 1 kilogram of beef saves the equivalent of driving an average European car for 250 kilometers. Can you imagine 1 kilogram of beef equivalent to driving 250 kilometers and burning 100-watt light bulbs for 20 days non-stop? So we should know where our problem lies. Now, a study by the Institute for Ecological Economy Research in Germany found that emissions from an animal-free vegan diet are 87% less than those of meat-based diet, while emissions from an organic vegan diet are reduced by 94%. You see? Again, as the top climatologist Dr. James Hansen said, being veg is the single most effective thing a person can do to stop global warming. Yeah, that's without government, even without ado, without protocol, without any trouble. If the goal is to be a truly carbon-free society, we should consider all the major sources of greenhouse gases emissions. You see, we are emitting greenhouse gases not just through the fumes from factories, houses, and cars, but also through the products that we choose to consume. Besides, CO2 is cancelled out by aerosols, which are released at the same time from burning fossil fuels. So, it means that even though we have CO2, but the CO2 also have been cancelled out by the aerosols at the same time. Even though aerosols are very detrimental to our health, they actually have a cooling effect that cancels out the CO2 heat in the atmosphere. So up to now, the climate warming heat is not from CO2. Is not from CO2. The warming climate problem is not from CO2. It's not from carbon dioxide. I repeat, it's not from carbon dioxide. It is from other sources, mainly methane. At least 50% of total greenhouse gas emissions are coming from animal meat and dairy products. And it's not I who said this. It's all proven, researched, confirmed, and published by the top scientists of the whole world. If we only focus on the green energies, like solar panel, wind power, etc., it won't have much of an effect. I am so sorry to say. I have to tell you the truth because this is also my planet. Your island could be my residence in any time in the future. I might love your island. I might want to go there. So I want to protect your island. I want to protect my planet. So I have to tell you everything. Although I might offend somebody or I might not be very popular for doing this, but I have to tell you the truth. Because green energies is not an urgent task for us to handle right now. Because green energy only tackle the effect of maybe aerosol or CO2, which is not the urgent issue of global warming, the producer. The global warming effect comes from rising livestock, from animals. So if we continue on the green energy, then we don't have much an effect to stop global warming because the effectiveness will be cancelled out by the large amounts of greenhouse gases that we generate by consuming meat and the meat industry. Besides the livestock methane, that is responsible for the portion of the 50% of greenhouse gas emissions. But 50% is still a low estimate. I would say 80%. There is also the burning of forests to make pasture land to grow food for the animals, and making the chemical fertilizer and pollution to grow the feed, the transportation involved, the constant refrigeration involved, etc., etc. And all the medical effect or the cause of the sickness of the people. Billions, trillions of dollars goes into the treatment of the people for meat-related disease. And it's not always even effective. It's not always even cure people permanently or perfectly even. Even we spend so much money and people have to go so much suffering, the disease are not always completely cured. In many cases, not at all. So people suffer, people die for nothing also because of meat diet. So to produce the meat for consumption, it costs us too much. It costs sorrow, it costs suffering, it costs trillions of dollars. All these add up to many more times greenhouse gas emissions than all the world's transportation combined. And apparently more than all the heavy industries and fossil fuel power stations combined even. So in order to call ourselves a low carbon or carbon-free society, we must eliminate our meat consumption because that is the number one cause. We could say that is the only cause for our climate change. That is our meat consumption. This is in line with the recommendation of the world's leading climate experts, like chair of the IPCC, Dr. Pachauri, who is a vegetarian himself for the environment's sake. In fact, if we focus on shifting people to be vegetarian or vegan, It will save us much more money than green technology. And of course, it's much more effective. And I urge you, the government leaders, because our time is running out, we have to act on this now. Please explain to your co-citizens this important truth and tell them we must work together to become animal-free consumers. We have a very short time to save our planet. We have a great planet to save. We have great precious treasure that is our children to save. And besides, the government and the people have nothing to lose by being vegan. For the environment, the absence of livestock will bring about much less pollution and less waste of water and food resources. For the citizens, there are perfect, nutritious, delicious alternatives to animal products nowadays. And as we heard in the doctor's lectures, the vegan diet is also the best for our children. It's a win-win solution as stated by Dr. Pachori, and necessary to save the planet.
We depleted the earth because we raise cattle and animals. Actually, this is one of another way to contribute to our earth planet. You know all this. You read more books than I ever can imagine, yeah? About vegetarian, about how to save our world, about environmental love and all kind of things. And vegetarian diet is the answer to all these questions. Our earth is collapsing because we eat too much meat, actually. Or we have to put it that way, roughly. Roughly it's like that, you know. Every minute, every year we cut down forests as big as England just to raise animals. So how many rainforests has been destroyed? And this change atmosphere, change the rain. That's why our planet is heating up, and then many places are having problem with flood and also drought, long period. You remember? So if we want to save the planet, if we want to preach environmental care, we should be vegetarian. There's no other thing to do, right? And that is just a small thing compared to all the vaccination and all the water, pure water used for meat and things like that. You already read a newspaper and magazines and television every day. I just remind you just a small portion of it. But the harmful effect of the meat diet is larger than life.
Saving the world's tropical forest, the lungs of the earth, is one of the very important priorities. Because when the tropical rainforests are destroyed, there are many frightening side effects. It's not just the permanent changes to the world's temperature, rainfall, and weather patterns, which the forests regulate. It's not just about the millions of people who might lose their livelihoods that depend on the forest. There is more to it than that. There is the extinction of plants and animal species that is 100 times faster than what is natural, and it ruins our ecosystems. And there's also the rainforests themselves. This is important. The rainforests themselves normally is our protectors. But as the climate gets warmer, instead of absorbing CO2 to protect our planet climate, they will be emitting back CO2 as well, and that will be harmful to us. By harming the rainforest, by destroying the planet, by raising animals, we are turning our protector, which is the rainforest, into a harmful agent. They will not be helping us, the rainforest. They will not be helping us if the climate gets warmer. But instead, they will be worsening the global warming problem because they cannot absorb the CO2, but they will release all the CO2 that is already contained in their kingdom. Now, we need to look at the main reason why there is deforestation. Yes, we all know there is a whole industry behind it in most of the cases, namely the livestock industry. For example, 91% of the Amazon deforested since 1970 was used for what? For grazing pasture, meaning that the number one reason for deforestation of the Amazon, which is the greatest lung of our planet, is to raise cattle. And the second biggest reason also for cattle. They grow the soil to feed the cattle, and of course other animals as well. By the way, yes, NASA reported that once the forest is cleared for pasture or feed crops, the soil itself becomes a large source of emitting carbon. The soil itself even. So not only that, the fires that burn down the trees also release a lot of carbon dioxide, CO2. The Amazon rainforest alone contains more carbon dioxide than 10 years' worth of all human-produced greenhouse gases. Plus, when we burn the forest, we release black carbon, which are particles of soot that trap 680 times the heat of the same amount of CO2. Now, blame whom? Don't bother blaming CO2. Especially because they are black. You know, these soot from the burnt black rainforest, they hold a lot of heat. According to researchers in Brazil, 60% of the black carbon measured at the Antarctic Peninsula came from burning the rainforest in Brazil for livestock raising. So we have to put the blame, the finger on the right spot. Yeah? I hope the leaders understand where to put their finger, not just talking around the subject and try to avoid the burning spot, which is livestock raising, which is animal production. Animals industry are number one killer of all killers on this planet. Meat industry is the number one killer, is the number one murderer, and the legal murderer. And we endorse it. We accept it. This is all our wrongdoing, is all our fault. If the planet is to be gone forever, we cannot blame anything else, anyone else except ourselves. If we don't do anything at all to change this, see? Okay, furthermore, it's not only the Amazon. NASA states that the single biggest direct cause of tropical deforestation is livestock raising land. The livestock sector is the single largest human use of land. We have only 30% of land that cover the earth. The rest is 70% is water, yes? It's ocean. We have only 30% of land. And of that precious 30%, 1/3 of it is used not for our true survival, but for livestock pasture or growing tons of grains for animal feed, or to produce a few pieces of meat, and you swallow it in 2 seconds. And that few seconds will bring you tons of sickness, disease, suffering, sorrow for yourself also. Even if we don't have compassion for the animals, please do have compassion for ourselves. Do not eat poison and continue to suffer more in the hospital with all kind of treatment related to it. In fact, we are losing 55 square meters of rainforest for every beef hamburger patty. Every little beef hamburger patty that costs 55 square meters. This is a pity because we have better, more delicious, more nutritious, more healthy and safe alternatives to hamburgers to nourish ourselves anyway. How can we, as very intelligent human beings, do this to ourselves? Not to talk about the cruelty that we committed to animals, which degrade us to this level. I am so sorry to have offended you. But I also take responsibility as a human being here on this planet for this, for all the things that I have not known before, for all the things that I am doing with you, I have been doing with you in this respect. So please do forgive me for being straight, honest, and just a fact, okay?
Supreme Master, is it true that there are links between industrial farming of animals and global warming? And what are the actual effects of climate change?
Yes, absolutely, Louis. The link from the livestock industry to global warming has been clearly established. In fact, earlier this year, the Irish government even considered creating a cow tax in order to meet the European Union's new strict climate goals. Ireland's Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has stated in a report that the agricultural sector is the largest producer of greenhouse gases in the country, with livestock production accounting for 93% of Ireland's agriculture sector. Louis, livestock production in your country accounting for 93% of Ireland's agriculture sector. It is crucial that the animal raising sector is addressed to stop global warming. The world's scientists fear that if we pass certain tipping points, the next stages of climate change would not only be fast, but irreversible and catastrophic, Louis. So there are already signs of this dangerous time approaching through observations of lakes and elsewhere bubbling with methane gas that used to be stored safely below a frozen layer of the earth. No one knows when the day might be that enormous amounts are uncontrollably released, causing a sudden spike in temperature that could then catalyze runaway warming. That would be catastrophic for us, Louis. Our devastating effects of climate change have already been occurring. The heat-reflecting Arctic ice is on its way to completely vanishing in a very near summer. Rising sea levels and dozens of submerged or threatened islands, oceanic regions that are lifeless with dead zones or becoming too acidic to be livable due to excessive level of CO2, more frequent deadly wildfire, entire wildlife species going extinct 100 times faster than normal, more intense and destructive storms, disease-carrying mosquitoes spread by warming regions, disappearance of the world's glaciers, drying or disappear lakes and rivers by the tens of thousands and spreading of deserts. And as a consequence of these environmental impacts, 2 billion people are facing water shortage and 20 million people are in desperate state like refugees, except with no official protection. Very sad things. All these situations are getting worse and worse and won't stop until we really change the way we live our life. So, what's to be done? The solution is quite easy. Simply stop eating meat. Simply stop eating meat. That is the best solution. This is imperative now because of the perilous state of our planet and our limited time. Stopping meat production will lower greenhouse gas emissions in the fastest possible way and halt the unspeakable environmental damages, ranging from climate change to land and water misuse, pollution, loss of wildlife, and threats to human health. Each new scientific study finds that livestock production, this killing of animals for meat, bears increasingly more responsibility for the climate change crisis of our planet. In fact, the most recent calculations have concluded that livestock emits at least 51% of the greenhouse gases responsible for global warming. And soon after this new report, researchers from NASA just announced that methane, the potent greenhouse gas whose largest human-created source is the livestock industry, traps 100 times more heat than carbon dioxide over a 20-year period. This is an astonishing increased update from the previous number of 72 times. Until now, most studies used the fact that methane is 23 times more heat-trapping than CO2 over 100 years, which gives a less accurate picture about methane in its actual lifespan. Therefore, the powerful methane is actually a greater cause of the warming than previously estimated. The good news is that methane dissipates from the atmosphere in approximately 12 years, whereas it takes carbon dioxide thousands of years to disappear. So, if we want to make a rapid, effective difference now, we must stop the methane generation at its largest original source, that is the livestock industry. The livestock industry is also the top source of another major greenhouse gas, nitrous oxide. 65% of all human-made nitrous oxide is found in the manure and fertilizer for feed crops, which traps a hugely damaging 289 times more heat over a 20-year period. Next, the livestock sector is the single largest human use of land and the top driving force behind rainforest destruction. In the Amazon alone, over 90% of the deforested land since 1970 was for livestock. Trees are vital to help absorb greenhouse gases, but trees, when they are burned, also release rather than absorb greenhouse gases, thus making the problem worse. Forest burning for making pasture is also a major source of black carbon, which are soot particles capable of trapping 2,000 times more heat than CO2. Oh God, believe this. The super hot particles end up on the world's ice caps and accelerate their melting. The livestock industry causes a large part of the world's soil erosion. It is a leading driver of desertification, biodiversity loss, and water waste and water pollution. Despite water becoming scarcer each day due to global warming. Moreover, the livestock sector inefficiently drains our fossil fuel and food grain resources. In short, we throw away 12 times more grain, at least 10 times more water, and 8 times more fossil fuel energy to produce a portion of beef compared to a nutritional similar or even greater amount of vegan food. By the way, fishing is also horrendously wasteful and murderous. A major study predicts that all fished animals will be 90% gone by 2050 due to overfishing and overwasting by catch. I mean those fish and other marine lives that they don't need, but while catching all the fish, they kill them as well by the billions. Moreover, it is such an alarming picture when we think about the billions of animals killed each year for so-called food. 55 billion, which is not even counting fish and other species. That is 8 times more innocent beings murder each year than there are people on the earth. How can our planet and our conscience support such unsustainable, damaging, and criminal practice? And all for a piece of dead flesh every day, which we now know isn't even healthy and in fact kills us. I pray that our world's leaders will take swift actions to ban the destructive meat production and instead use subsidies for organic vegan farming, which helps absorb emissions. Then we can have an immediate effect on climate change and have more time to develop and perfect our green technology to address CO2. I call upon the media to help as well, and thank you and the Irish Dog Journal for their part. And most important, individuals must turn to the planet-saving organic vegan lifestyle because the dangers are mounting and time is urgent. If every one of us would only switch now, we will ensure a future for our children and generations to come.
Supreme Master, here in Ireland, we know we are very concerned about our beautiful world and sincerely strive to do our bit to conserve it and indeed to preserve, the planet. But what do you feel are the best ways that we can go about doing this on an individual basis?
It's like everywhere, Louis. But first of all, I commend Ireland for her leadership in improving our world. As the first country in Europe to implement a smoking ban in workplace. And the Irish government is working hard to promote organic farming. A lot of work must be done still to have a beautiful and healthy planet. We have to stop the planetary climate change, stop depleting our water supplies, stop deforestation, desertification, ocean pollution, river pollution, species extinction, etc., etc. But all these can be accomplished to a vast degree and very quickly by individuals changing to an organic vegan diet. Yes. And the leading voice in global warming, like the former US Vice President and Nobel Peace Prize laureate, Mr. Al Gore, and UK climate expert and economist Lord Nicholas Stern, have also made statements that being vegetarian for the environment is important. As an individual, by choosing the organic vegan diet, we will save 1.5 tons of carbon emission per year, which is more than the savings from driving a hybrid car for the whole year. We will save 5 to 10 times the amount of grains, and by not eating just 1 pound of beef, we save more water than by not showering daily for 6 months to a whole year. Imagine? Yes. So as a whole, we can shift our food system to organic, not to organic animal system. My God, they use organic for everything. We have to switch to organic vegan diet because the organic animal system could even cause more emissions than the conventional way. For example, the Rodale Institute has found that 40% of the CO2 in the air can be absorbed if all the tillable land on the planet were organic vegan. So, in fact, one study calculated that the organic vegan diet saves 94%, Louis, of the greenhouse gas emissions per person per year. That's all we have to do, switch to organic vegan. 94% is saved per person, and the little 6% natural can eat it up in no time. Because natural are also made to protect us, nah? But we just overload nature. Moreover, if all the people in the world are veg, it would preserve the lives of over 1 billion fellow human beings suffering hunger. There would be no more climate refugees, Louis. The earth would heal itself, and there would be more than enough for all the children to grow in health and safety. I'm sure that this day will come, Louis, very soon, as humankind joins hands to make it happen, just like we do now. Please have hope, Louis, and pray.
I do.
I will ask the next question on behalf of Mr. Daniel Kwame Hagbale, who is Chief Division Supervision of Prefectures and Regions at the Ministry of Territorial Administration. And the question is, charcoal is an energy source regularly used in Africa, mostly in household activities because it's cheaper compared to gas. However, its use has caused many parks to be deforested and not reforested, while the burning of charcoal also increases air pollution. Please, Master, could you give us advice about other energy sources that will be affordable and could help us avoid deforestation and air pollution?
Hello, Mr. Chief Daniel. Yes, I understand, and I am glad people such as yourself are concerned about preserving our forest. We must protect the trees as much as we can. According to the environmental organization Greenpeace, 8% of the Earth's forest-related carbon is stored in the vast rainforest of the Congo River Basin in Central Africa. Scientists predict that continued deforestation of the Congo will release the same amount of CO2 as the United Kingdom emitted over the last 60 years. Imagine that. So it is important to preserve the forest while we still can, because it helps in addressing global warming. Other alternative could be used to avoid deforestation is something called green charcoal or biochar, which has been introduced in Senegal. This is made from agriculture waste products. It's affordable and prevents deforestation. It also absorbs CO2 as well, which is why climate scientists support the use of it. It absorbs the CO2 very well. So this is one alternative. And of course, if possible, you can use a sustainable energy alternative, such as solar oven cooker, which is safer and causes no air pollution at all. So these are just some examples of affordable energy sources we can try and share with one another. I'm sure there are more. You can do some internet research to see any better solution up to date, yes. But the most important and most urgent, once again, is the veg diet, VEG diet. This is the good deed that you can do to help save the planet as a whole, because this will most quickly reduce global warming. And it's not just that. Truly, being veg is not just about reducing greenhouse gases. It is about stopping the suffering of the animals and their cruel, inhuman mistreatment. We have to be noble species. We have to be noble human beings. This is what is it all about. We have to stop the inhuman treatment of animals. And if we in Africa join together to be veg, we will be blessed by all the heavens. The vegan solution. It is a true solution. Yes, and it is the most effective way to save the planet. The reason is based on the significant planet cooling effect of removing methane from the atmosphere, which happens when we switch to the organic vegan diet. And besides removing the harmful methane emissions, organic tilling methods can actually store 40% of the carbon back into the soil. So to be veg is a way to not only eliminate significant emissions, but to absorb even more carbon from the atmosphere. The organic approach also does not apply harmful chemicals like the ones used for conventional farming. This is very reassuring for anyone who has children, especially as the recent studies show that young persons are particularly vulnerable to the toxic effects of pesticides. So the organic vegan diet is multifold beneficial. Forests also play a tremendous role in absorbing CO2. For example, the forests in the Pacific Northwest region of the US are able to absorb half of all the emissions of the state of Oregon, USA. So we should protect our forests as well, especially from clearing for cattle grazing and for animal feed growing, because these activities even add back many times more greenhouse gases. Most of the deforestation in our world is due to animal raising, taking up a staggering 1/3 of the entire land area on the globe. Now you ask about a vision of Earth merging with others in the galaxy. That's a big vision. We only need to look at our own neighboring planet, Mars and Venus, to see that the vision is bleak, is disastrous, if we don't make the right choice, the right change now. Any planetary scientist knows that Mars and Venus went through dramatic atmospheric changes in the past, similar to what we have begun to experience right now. Long ago, Mars and Venus were once a lot like our planet. They had water, life, and people similar to us. But the inhabitants of Mars and Venus destroy their respective planetary homes because they raised too much livestock, and the gases released trigger an irreversible greenhouse gas effect, plus poisonous hydrogen sulfide in the case of Mars. So that's why we see only the traces of the landforms and oceans that once used to be there. And on Venus, the atmosphere is so heated and choked up with CO2, carbon dioxide, yeah. Scientists thus call it runaway global warming and say this is what the future of Earth might be like. So let's not end up like either Mars or Venus, our neighboring planet. Also, once we stop the killing, then we will generate a more loving, kind, and inviting atmosphere for other noble beings in the galaxy to perhaps join us or be in contact with us. But regardless of the contact with the other beings, humanity must uphold a gentler, higher standard for the earth to continue supporting life. This greater virtue is absolutely necessary for the conscience to be at peace. So beyond the physical consideration of things like methane gas and toxic chemicals, there is also the spiritual consequence of killing. Killing is still in life, the most precious gift to any physical being. Animals are killed for meat consumption in the cruelest ways imaginable that make us human the cruelest beings on the planet. We are the cruelest being on the planet. I don't know if we should call ourselves civilized rate of being. The degrading practice of killing must stop. The killing must stop, and we replace it by virtuous ways of life that are also peaceful and kind. If all of humanity turns to such a standard, this world will be transformed indeed, heralding a true golden age of harmony and happiness for all beings. Let's pray that it will be so.
All information concerning the scientific evidence of climate change and its solution is in Supreme Master Ching Hai's book, From Crisis to Peace, free to download at crisistopeace.org.
Pemirsa yang menawan, kami menghargai kebersamaan Anda dalam episode hari ini yang berjudul Solusi Sebenarnya untuk Masyarakat Bebas Karbon, kutipan dari Ceramah Maha Guru Ching Hai, bagian kedua dari 2 seri di acara Antara Guru dan Murid. Tetaplah di Supreme Master Television untuk acara positif lainnya. Akan hadir selanjutnya, serial multibagian mengenai ramalan kuno tentang planet kita. Ramalan Zaman Keemasan, bagian 7, Ramalan Nostradamus, segera setelah berita patut disimak. Semoga Tuhan mengaruniai hidup Anda dengan berkat tak terbatas. May Providence grace your life with boundless blessing. For more details, please visit suprememastertv.com/BMD.